Listen up, kid. When you're in your 20s, the world feels like your personal stage. You're bursting with ideas, convinced everyone's hanging on your every word. You've got these grand revelations, these foolproof schemes bubbling up inside, and you can't wait to broadcast them to anyone who'll listen. But as the years roll on, especially once you hit your 30s, a quiet wisdom settles in. You realize that sometimes holding your tongue carries more weight than any speech ever could. Life's taught me not just to pore over pages in books, but to study the subtle shifts in people's expressions, to gauge who deserves your voice and who merits your silence. Over the decades, I've pieced together this truth. There are a dozen matters you should never spill to anyone. Not your buddy down the block, not your coworker, not even the person you trust most in this chaotic world. You might shrug it off thinking, what's the harm? I'm not hurting anybody by sharing. But let me echo the words of my great-grandfather, a man weathered by trials. Not every door needs unlocking, and not every visitor arrives with pure intentions. In the hush of restraint lies the strongest shield for your peace and joy. We Jews have endured storms that tried to silence us, to crush our spirit underfoot. Yet through it all, one gift remained untouchable, our inherited insight, passed down not in thunderous debates or clamour, but in the soft whispers of observation, in the lived rhythms of existence. If you crave a life of respect, stability, and inner strength, lean in close. Today, I'm unveiling these 12 guarded truths you must keep close to your chest. Not because they're enchanted spells, or because I fear theft, but because their power fades when flung carelessly into the wind. These aren't mere tips for getting by. They're the bedrock principles that have preserved my honor, my bonds, my well-being, and my very essence. Each one has pulled me or my loved ones back from the brink, safeguarding not just our standing, but our survival. I'm sharing them with you now, if you're truly ready to absorb them, not just with your ears, but with the core of who you are. A sage once noted that the real rulers of the world aren't the loudmouths, but those who master the art of timely quiet. And I'd add, especially those who know precisely what to leave unsaid. Why spill this now, you ask? Because I watch folks these days flinging open their innermost selves to strangers, parading their lives like billboards on Times Square. What they're munching for lunch, who they're tangled up with at night, their paycheck figures, their vacation spots, even their deepest wounds. And then they act shocked when envy creeps in, when judgments rain down, when dreams crumble or relationships fray. It's all because they swung wide the gates, inviting in those with hidden agendas. In this talk, I'll lay out these 12 sacred silences, not out of dread that you'll slip up, but to guide you toward a wiser, richer existence, one in harmony with your truest self. Tune in deeply. Some might seem trivial at first glance, but remember, destinies are forged from such small stones. A misplaced word and a friendship shatters. A leaked confidence and respect evaporates. A vented grievance and your pain becomes fodder for mockery. Picture this world, my friend. Two kinds of souls roam it. Those who chatter endlessly, draining their own vitality, and those who choose silence, growing unbreakable in the process. I want you in that second camp. So settle back, let your eyelids flutter shut for a beat. Imagine not scrolling through another fleeting clip, but lounging in a cozy old cabin, the air thick with the scent of aged oak and leather-bound tomes. Across from you sits an elder, eyes etched with life's map, sharing not for clicks or fame, but because the weight of wisdom demands release. Stick with me to the end, and maybe a decade from now, You'll pause amid your own trials and murmur, "Ah, that's the essence of timeless Jewish insight, not in flashy declarations or volume, but in profound depths." All right, you're still here. That tells me you're hungry for real understanding. No rush. These aren't words to skim, but experiences to internalize, to weave into your being. First guarded truth. Keep your ambitions under wraps. I've witnessed countless bright-eyed dreamers spilling their visions, launching a startup, relocating to a dream city like New York or LA, tying the knot with the love of their life. And what follows? Shattered illusions, hollow echoes of what could have been. Why? Plans are like delicate dough rising in a warm kitchen. Poke at them too soon, and they deflate flat. Ancient teachings remind us, don't bare your aspirations to every passerby, for curiosity often masks meddling hands. Second, shield your vulnerabilities from the crowd. Not every grin aimed your way signals goodwill. Confide in your struggles, and sure, some might offer a pat on the back, urging you to hang tough. But others? They'll twist that knife when your guard's down. Back in my darker days, I once unburdened to a so-called pal. Weeks later, his whispers reached my ears. He's cracking, can't handle the heat. Lesson learned. Flaws belong in private reflection, in prayer perhaps, or shared only with the steadfast few who prove their loyalty. Third, let your acts of kindness echo in anonymity. Lend a hand to someone in need? Bravo. But broadcast it, and it morphs from genuine compassion into a transaction, fueling your ego rather than the greater good. As the elders put it, true benevolence whispers in the shadows, drawing the world closer. Boast about it, and you're just inflating your own balloon. I once slipped some cash to a struggling neighbour's widow, no fanfare. The reward? A serene calm washing over me, untainted by applause or spotlights. But wait, there's a shadow lurking in these revelations, a test of your resolve that could upend everything if ignored. Fourth guarded truth. Steer clear of dissecting other people's mistakes and missteps. It's the favorite pastime in coffee shops, group chats, and endless comment threads, whispering about how someone crashed their car after one too many, how a marriage imploded overnight, how a colleague got caught in some shady deal. We lean into these stories as if watching someone else's fall makes us rise a little taller. But here's the cold reality. The moment you start judging from the sidelines, you're signing up for the same scrutiny. You only catch the glittering tip of their iceberg, the polished surface everyone sees, while the jagged mass below stays hidden. Years of quiet suffering, invisible pressures, choices made in desperation. The old rabbis taught it plainly. Don't pass sentence on another until you've walked a mile in their worn shoes. And the truth is, you'll never truly stand in that exact spot, no matter how much you think you figured them out. Gossip doesn't elevate you. It quietly erodes your own moral ground. Keep your lips sealed on others' stumbles, and watch how much lighter your own conscience stays. Fifth, never air your family's dirty laundry in public. Every household has its storms, sharp words with your spouse that echo through the night, a kid who veers off course and breaks your heart, an aunt or uncle whose sharp tongue cuts deep. These are universal cracks in the foundation. But the second you step outside those four walls and start venting to friends, co-workers, or worse, online, the damage multiplies. You don't just complain, you hand others the chisel to widen the fracture. Think of your home as a delicate crystal vase carried through a crowded room. One careless knock from the outside, and the whole thing shatters beyond repair. Handle the arguments behind closed doors. Mend what's broken in private. Resolve it with patience and love. Because once the neighborhood, the family group chat, or the barstool crowd hears the ugly details, they'll never unhear them. Their view of your wife, your son, your parents shifts forever, subtly colder, subtly judgmental. You invited strangers to stand in judgment over the people you swore to protect. That's not venting, that's betrayal dressed up as catharsis. Sixth, guard your inner world like a fortress, not an open plaza. Some folks treat their soul like a busy train station. Anyone can wander in, overhear the announcements, catch a glimpse of the departures and arrivals. They spill childhood wounds, current fears, secret dreams to near strangers at parties, on first dates, in comment sections. Then they're stunned when the knife twists later, when manipulation creeps in, when old vulnerabilities get weaponized against them. Your heart isn't a public square for casual foot traffic, it's a sanctuary. Only unlock the gate for someone who's already proven they can sit in silence with your pain without turning it into currency. I learned this the hard way once. Opened up about a season of doubt and uncertainty to a guy I thought was solid. By the next weekend, my rawest thoughts were being served as casual gossip over challah and wine at someone's table. The sting wasn't just embarrassment, it was the realization that trust, once shattered, leaves scars deeper than betrayal itself. From that day forward, gold standard confidence is earned slowly, never handed out like pocket change. And right when you think you've heard the hardest ones, the next secret slices even closer to the bone, threatening to expose the most private corners of a life most people pretend don't exist. Seventh guarded truth. Keep your financial picture completely off the table. There's an old saying passed down through generations. Count your money in whispers and never count anyone else's at all. Flash a new ride in the driveway, brag about that fat bonus check, or casually drop what you pulled in last year and watch what happens next. Envy doesn't knock politely, it kicks the door in. Suddenly you're fielding endless, just a small loan requests from people who were fine before they knew your numbers. Or worse, the whispers start. Must be nice. Lucky guy. Wonder how he really got that. Showing off wealth doesn't protect it. It paints a target on your back. Poverty stings in private, but flaunted riches invite thieves of every kind. Emotional, relational, even literal. Whatever you've got, big or small, let gratitude live quietly inside you. The one who provides knows the score. No need to announce it to the crowd and stir up storms you didn't ask for. Eighth, don't lay all your knowledge and smarts out like cards on the table for everyone to see. Wisdom isn't a party trick to pull out every time someone asks a question. It's more like a finely balanced blade. Wield it recklessly in every conversation, and it loses its edge fast. The sharpest person in any room is rarely the one talking the loudest or correcting everybody. It's usually the one sitting back, listening, absorbing, only speaking when the words can actually help or prevent real harm. An ancient teacher once put it this way: the truly wise one is deep water. You can't see the bottom from the surface, but when someone truly needs a drink, they can draw as much as they require. Parade your intellect everywhere, and people stop respecting it. They start resenting it or trying to outdo it. Stay quiet until your insight is genuinely called for. That restraint turns knowledge into power instead of just noise. Ninth, lock away every detail of your intimate life, forever. This might be the one people violate most brutally these days. What happens between you and your partner should stay sacred, private, untouchable. The word intimate itself comes from the idea of innermost. It's not meant for public consumption. Yet you see it everywhere. Locker room stories, Late night texts bragging about bedroom details, social media hints that leave nothing to the imagination. The second you start describing positions, frequency, fantasies, or even just how good it was last night, you strip away the mystery that actually binds two people together. You turn something holy into cheap entertainment. I stayed faithful to my wife for nearly 5 decades, and nobody, not family, not friends, not even our kids, ever got a single glimpse behind that curtain. That privacy didn't weaken our bond, it forged it into something unbreakable, something real, not a performance for likes or laughs. Keep that part of your life sealed. The world doesn't need to know, and sharing it only cheapens what should be priceless. And just when you think the list can't get any more personal, the 10th secret strikes at the very way you speak about yourself, and it has the power to either lift you up or bury you for good. 10th guarded truth. Stop tearing yourself down in front of others. It's one thing to stay humble, it's another to constantly hand people the script for how small you are. You catch yourself saying things like, "I'm not that smart. I'll probably screw this up anyway. Who am I to even try?" And the room quietly agrees with you. The world takes your word for it. You build the cage around yourself with every self-deprecating line, then wonder why nobody opens the door to let you out. Pride is poison, sure, but so is self-humiliation. You are not a mistake. You're a living, breathing creation, with purpose stitched into your very existence. Speak against yourself long enough, and your own voice starts believing the lie. I hit a low point years back, and kept repeating how worthless I felt. One day something shifted inside. I looked in the mirror and said out loud, "I make mistakes, but I am not the mistake." That single sentence pulled me off my knees. From then on, I refused to volunteer for my own execution. Be honest about your flaws in private reflection, but never broadcast them as your defining story. The way you talk about yourself becomes the ceiling others place over your head. 11th, quit complaining about life out loud to anyone who will listen. Everybody carries heavy loads. Some just hide them better. Your back hurts, the bills are choking you, the traffic is endless, the news is depressing. Join the club. But turning every conversation into a grievance recital doesn't lighten your burden. It pushes people away. They start crossing the street when they see you coming, because being around constant negativity feels like dragging a storm cloud. I had a friend like that once. Every chat was a laundry list of aches, bad luck, unfairness. One afternoon, I finally told him straight, "You know why nobody sticks around? Because hanging out with you feels like drowning in complaints. There's no rest." He looked stunned, then angry, then quiet. Strength isn't pretending everything's perfect. Strength is accepting the pain privately, crying it out alone if you have to, talking it through with God or one rock-solid confidant, and then showing up to the world with your chin up. Say to yourself in the mirror, "Yeah, this hurts like hell right now, but I'm still breathing. I'm still fighting." That quiet resolve draws real people closer. Endless whining repels them. 12th and final guarded truth. Never let someone else's envy poison your own mouth. You scroll past a photo of a buddy's new house, a co-worker's promotion, a neighbor's fancy vacation, and the first words that rise are, "Must be nice, lucky bastard, wonder what corners he cut." Even if you don't say it out loud, repeating those thoughts inside shapes the air you breathe. Envy is a slow acid. It doesn't just burn the person you're jealous of, it corrodes you from the inside. You don't know the nights they didn't sleep, the debts they carry, the health they traded, the family strain behind the smile in the picture. Instead of letting bitterness take root, train yourself to bless it quietly. Good for them. May it bring them real joy. And if it's possible for them, it's possible for me too. Those simple words flip the script. They keep your heart spacious instead of cramped. Speak blessing over other people's wins, even when your own hands are empty, and watch how abundance starts flowing toward you instead of away. There they are, kid, the 12 silences that have guarded my life like invisible walls. They might sound basic when you hear them listed out, maybe even familiar from bits and pieces you've picked up over the years. But sitting with them now, letting them sink in one by one, you feel the difference. These aren't quick life hacks. They're the quiet architecture of a soul that endures, the bricks of an inner fortress no storm can topple. You've made it all the way here. In a world where most people can't sit still for 10 seconds without reaching for the next distraction, you stayed. That already says something powerful about who you are. You're not chasing shiny, surface-level motivation. You're reaching for something deeper, something that doesn't shout but resonates. We just walked 12 steps together. Not about what to say, but about what to hold sacred in silence. Because the noise out there is deafening. Endless notifications, opinions, hot takes, drama. People are terrified of quiet these days. They fill every second to avoid hearing their own thoughts. But it's in that stillness that the real voice lives. Conscience, intuition, truth. The part of you that knows what's right, even when nobody's watching. Real strength isn't in how much you can yell. It's in knowing exactly when and what to keep locked away. My old man used to say, "A word is an arrow. Once it leaves the bow, you can't call it back. Pause before you draw the string." You've just been handed the map of what never to lose into the world. More than that, you now have permission to protect your own quiet. Your thoughts, your wounds, your dreams, your marriage, your money, your soul. You don't owe anyone full access. You get to choose the locks and the keys. So what do you do with all this? Live deliberately. Before any word escapes, ask yourself, what could this cost me? Words build kingdoms and burn them down in the same breath. Choose your circle carefully. Open your heart only to those proven safe enough to hold your sharpest edges without cutting themselves or you. And then become the example, not with speeches or sermons, but by simply living quieter, steadier, kinder. When people see someone who doesn't need to broadcast everything, who carries dignity without fanfare, they start to wonder, maybe that's the way. I don't know how many more sunrises I'll get to see. Age doesn't negotiate. Some mornings I wake up grateful just to feel the light hit my face again. But if there's one thing these years have burned into me, it's this. The most precious thing you leave behind isn't money or possessions. It's the wisdom you managed to pass on, the hand you extended in the dark, the quiet truth you spoke when it mattered. If even one of these 12 stays with you, if, the next time the urge to overshare hits, you hear an old man's voice in your head saying, "Keep it. Let it stay yours. It'll protect you," then this conversation was worth every breath. I'm not going to beg you to hit like, subscribe, drop a comment. That's your call. But if something here felt less like another video and more like a real talk between two souls, if you want more of this kind of straight, no fluff depth in a world drowning in noise, then stick around. Not for numbers, for the chance we don't lose each other in all the chaos. I'll be right here in the quiet, waiting for the next time you need to hear something true. Shalom to you, friend. May your heart stay peaceful, your words stay measured, and in the hardest moments may you remember, true power lives in the things we choose not to say, and in the truth we speak only when the moment is exactly right.